I'm Jasmine Anderson. We begin with Israel at war. It is day 6 of the new conflict. This is new video of Israel ramping up its airstrikes on Hamas targets in Gaza today. More than 2,400 people are now dead on both sides. That includes at least 22 Americans, with at least 17 more unaccounted for. Newsday has confirmed that at least 3 people with a Long Island connection are among those kidnapped or missing. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Israel today.
We stand resolutely against terrorism. We've seen the almost undescribable acts committed by Hamas against Israeli men, women, and children. Every day, we're learning more, and it is simply heartbreaking.
Israeli military reservists have been summoned from across the globe to join the fight against Hamas. That includes an estimated 800 Americans, many with ties to Long Island, like Lucas Simonovisky, the son of a Hebrew school teacher in East Meadow. Read more on the fight in Israel and the impacts it's having on Long Islanders on Newsday.com. Click Get More on the Newsday TV video box on our homepage. Happening today, jury selection expected in the trial of the Hempstead woman accused of killing an NYPD detective from Long Island. Prosecutors say Jessica Bouvet was driving drunk when she hit and killed Detective Anastasio Sakos. It happened in 2021 in East Northport. If convicted, she faces at least 20 years in prison. Testimony continues today in the retrial of the woman accused of killing an anti-gang activist from Brentwood. Yesterday, a Riverhead jury watched the video of Anne Marie Drago hitting and killing Evelyn Rodriguez 5 years ago in Brentwood. Drago is charged with criminally negligent homicide. Her prior conviction was overturned. A new push to protect our kids from social media. State lawmakers calling algorithms the new tobacco.
They target our insecurities, and for these girls, it lifted them into depression and question their own self-worth. And teenagers are vulnerable enough as it is.
Governor Kathy Hochul announcing new legislation aimed at keeping kids from getting addicted to social media. If approved, it would allow parents to opt kids out of feeds that use algorithms to target young users. It would also ban platforms from sending notifications to minors between midnight and 6 a.m. A new push today to remove indicted Long Island Congressman George Santos from office. Fellow Long Islanders, Republicans that is Anthony D'Esposito and Nick Lalotta, introduced a motion to expel Santos. It comes after prosecutors unsealed a superseding indictment with 10 new charges, including wire fraud and identity theft.
We really felt that enough is enough. He's been a stain to this institution, a stain to the state of New York, and certainly for me, he's been a stain to Nassau County and the great state of New York, and enough is enough.
Santos is due back in court at the end of the month. Republicans moving closer to choosing a new Speaker of the House, the GOP nominating Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise. The decision now goes to a floor vote. A holiday reopening being planned for a storied North Fork theater. The theater in Greenport is being transformed into the North Fork Arts Center. The Front Street building dates to 1916 and has been closed for nearly 3 years due to the pandemic. It will now be a cultural hub of performing arts, exhibitions, multi-generational education, and film. It's set to open in December with a holiday film series. A big night for Taylor Swift and her fans. The superstar telling fans at the Eras Tour world premiere they're the main characters in the concert film.
I think you'll see that you absolutely are main characters in this film, because that's what made the tour magical. That's what made it different than anything I've ever done in my life, is your attention to detail, your preparation, your passion, your intensity.
Swift speaking last night at the AMC Theater in LA last night at the first screening. Due to demand, early access showings of the movie will open tonight, and extra showtimes were added throughout the weekend. In the WNBA, the New York Liberty are on the brink of elimination.
Oh, wow! Chelsea Gray, these highlights are ridiculous!
The Aces dominated the Liberty last night in Las Vegas, 104-76. They are now a win away from becoming repeat champs. The Liberty look to keep their season alive in Game 3 Sunday in Brooklyn. The puck drops tonight on the Rangers season. The Blue Shirts starting on the road up in Buffalo, taking on the Sabres. Good luck to both teams. Someone finally hit the jackpot. Yep, there was just one Powerball winner last night. The ticket worth $1.73 billion was sold in Fraser Park, California. It's the second highest jackpot in the game's history as well as U.S. lottery history. There were smaller prizes last night, including a $1 million winner in upstate Saratoga. The winning numbers, check your tickets, 2, 24, 40, 52, 64, and the Powerball was 10. Checking out your hyperlocal Thursday forecast, sun and clouds today, highs around 67 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny, slightly cooler with highs around 63 degrees. Maybe grab a jacket, nice sweater. Rain on the way for the weekend. Keep an eye on that. A look at your 7-day forecast coming up.
Long Island weather is brought to you by Home Tax Saver, PTRC Incorporated.
In the not too distant future, snowbirds could be flocking to the Hamptons. Tiwa Chang has part 2 of our special series, Climate Change, Impact on Long Island.
By 2050, Long Island weather could be like the South if nothing changes. That's the prediction from some climate experts.
We will, almost certainly in 2050, be experiencing more extreme heat waves. That has a real impact on public health.
Under the worst case scenario, our summers would be like Georgia and South Carolina. And man, if you've ever been down there in the summer, it is hot.
And like the South, there will be more allergy-causing pollens and more insects like ticks and mosquitoes. But the biggest impact will be flooding. By 2050, Professor Mandia predicts the ocean level could be about 1 foot higher, and depending on elevation, Long Island's shoreline could be about 50 feet farther in than it is now.
Any place that you go down toward the water and you go into a town or a village, any place like that is probably going to flood.
That means communities like Long Beach, Lindenhurst, and Freeport will be flooded or submerged during major storms, as happened during Sandy. In 2050, nor'easters may be more likely to flood roads and homes because they last longer than hurricanes. Rebecca Crush lives in Freeport, several blocks from the ocean. Though she had her home raised, it's still flooded during a storm.
It would be a great concern to us because we love living on the water and being near the water. But it definitely, you have to take into account the weather change and climate change living in this area.
Climate change could also create a tidal wave of financial hardships. Insurance rates in flood zones could become astronomical or unattainable. If more homes are damaged than abandoned, that could drive property taxes up, and local governments would be forced to spend money to raise roads and beef up sewage and drainage systems to handle the floodwater. That's on top of the $500 million a year already spent rebuilding and fortifying our beaches. Tiwa Chang for NewsdayTV.
Thank you, Tiwa. You can watch part 3 of our special series tomorrow. And you can read more about climate change on Long Island on Newsday.com. Just click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. Volunteers helping to bring gardening knowledge into the community. It's a story you'll see only in Newsday.
You see all those seeds in there? Yeah. And it amazes me that one little tomato can have so many seeds in it. This is like generations worth of plants. I chose this garden as my Master Gardener Action Project. It actually chose me because I was already a member of the garden and I wanted to see the garden flourish, and I was doing a lot here and it was taking a lot of time, so I figured I could just build on what I had already started. Today, the class that I'm giving is going to be on seed saving and preservation. The special thing about cilantro seeds is that when you collect them, you can either save them for next year's planting or you can let them dry out, and it's a spice called coriander.
I've learned from Naja to distinguish weeds from a regular plant. Also, the different types of vegetables that we do grow and how to prepare them. It has benefited me in relaxation, peaceful tranquility, you name it, it's done that.
I'm hoping that my efforts get the garden recognition, because there's a lot of people in the town that still don't know about the garden, even though we've been here over 10 years now. I'd like to see it increase in size. I'd like to see our membership numbers stay up, because we're not funded, so it's membership. Everything here is membership driven, and every day is a learning process. I learn from the gardeners, and I just learn in everything that I do here. It's a lot, you know. Gardening is not the you know, just throw the seed in the ground and pick the vegetable. There's a lot involved in between.
There's so much to learn. Read more about community gardens on Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box.
What's Up on Long Island is brought to you by PC Richard & Son.
It's Friday Eve, so here's what's up on Long Island. The Oyster Festival is back. Oysters are the stars. There are eating and shucking contests along with pirate shows, live entertainment, arts and craft vendors. It's this weekend on the waterfront at Theodore Roosevelt Park, Oyster Bay. The Making Strides Against Breast Cancer event is Sunday on the boardwalk at Jones Beach State Park.
Oh, hi. What are you doing out in this mess?
Or catch a screening of Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th. It's part of the blockbuster movie series, the 1980 horror classic. Stars Betsy Palmer, Kevin Bacon, and others. It's at the Suffolk in Riverhead. For admission info and more events, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box on our homepage.
Information about communities is lost if you don't have local reporters. And if there's no one reporting, how do you know what's going on in your community?
Newsday, covering Long Island like no one else can.
I'm Jasmine Anderson. Thank you so much for watching. We'll leave you with a look at your hyperlocal 7-day forecast.